listening to LOA Recon with the Good Vibe Coach Jeanette Ma, where we dissect the ins and outs and the art and science of conscious creation, all intended to amp up your manifesting game. Let's have some fun together. Hey, thanks for tuning in for another episode. I could be wrong, but I think this is episode number 101. I think, which is kind of funny because I'm thinking, if I've recorded 100 of these, and here I am, my armpit's a little warm. I'm getting a little sweaty. I get nervous even when I publish blog posts too, even though I've done I think over 1,000 of those. There's something that makes me just a little uncomfortable about putting my thoughts in the world this openly. I don't know if it's a carryover from a past life where I got burned at the stake or what. That thought actually makes me laugh that this could just be lingering from a past experience. But how cool that we can share these thoughts openly with each other these days. So cool. So what I wanted to talk about today was what to do when you're not getting traction on your big thing. It happens sometimes, right? We're pointing our manifesting powers at a big dream. Maybe it's a new place to live or a big career switch or a financial windfall or some major improvement in our body. Whatever it is, it's big. We really want it. In fact, thinking about it makes us drool a little bit. I mean, it's going to be fantastic when it happens. The only problem is nothing's happening. You're doing your stuff. You're paying attention to your focus. You're activating the vibration of having it, and you're following whatever inspirations come to you, but it's just crickets out there. Nothing's moving. There's no progress whatsoever. Maybe you're even getting signs of backwards progress. So what's a conscious creator to do when they're doing all the right things and nothing's moving? I've talked about this before, where I have suggested a couple of things. I'm not going to repeat those. I'll just touch on them briefly. Sometimes, guess what? We're not as aligned as we think we are. That's the most common situation I run into as a coach when I look at client situations. Like, you might think you're dialed on, it's so good to be rich, but what you're really vibrating is, I hope this works. Or even, why isn't this working? Because when we're dialed in, things happen. It doesn't take long. But it does take some time. There's that buffer of time because the world doesn't instantly morph to match our new vibration, at least not always. Sometimes it does. And I think we should be grateful for that buffer of time while we still have it. Abraham says it's getting shorter. Sure seems like it to me. And let's face it, sometimes we need another minute to get lined up with a better thought because our first thought isn't always the one that we want to live with. So let's celebrate that buffer of time while we still have it. So what I'm saying is sometimes it takes a few days or weeks for universe to show us that it's heard us and it's moving to catch up with our new and improved vibration in life. And sometimes what's happening is just that we miss the signs of progress. Things are really happening. We just don't see it that way, especially if something needs to clear out to make room for what we want. Cindy Chavez wrote me a guest post a while ago, What to Do when Law of Attraction Isn't Working. The point being, she was using this. She'd learned about Law of Attraction when she was married, and she was unhappily married. This was not a good marriage. She learned about Law of Attraction, and she's like, I'm going to use this to manifest a fabulous marriage. And they got divorced. and a person might at first think, well, that didn't work. No, it is working because, I'm not saying it couldn't have turned out different ways, but it sort of seemed like that person she was married to wasn't a candidate for her experiencing a happy marriage with, so he needed to go. So it really is working when we sometimes think it isn't. That's sometimes what's happening. And sometimes we just have such a strong idea about what it's going to look like that when it shows up in a different form, we don't recognize it at all. That has happened to me. But this episode is not for that. What I wanted to talk about in this episode is Plan B. What to do when it seems like nothing's happening. So instead of troubleshooting your alignment process, let's assume you've got a good alignment in place. And I think this is maybe an alternative route to get to the successful spot. There are two suggestions. The first one is just to shoot for a smaller target. Sometimes we're aiming so big that we just can't get past our belief that it's big, that it's a big deal. You know how Abraham says that if we think it's unlikely, it will be? We have to learn to expect it. We want to practice thinking of what we want as an of course. In fact, I've been practicing that lately with a lottery ticket. a friend was driving to Idaho for tickets, and I rarely play the lottery because guess what? I never win. And I know the odds, and that doesn't help my belief level. But I thought, well, this could be fun practice to choose a new belief. Like, instead of expecting to not win the lottery, you know how there are some promotions that are geared to make everyone a winner. I remember, where was it? There was some store where you could scratch off something. It was Kohl's. It was Kohl's. Okay, so when you're at the register, you either like got something in the mail or they'd have them right there at the cash register so you could get one in the store. And it was a little scratch off to get a certain percentage off. And at the very minimum, you're going to get, I think it was like 10 or 15% off. Maybe you'd get 20, maybe you'd get 25. But one way or another, no one feels like a loser. Everyone gets something off. I don't know if they still do that. It's been a while since I shopped there. But my point is, when I'm scratching off one of those tickets, I know I'm getting something. Okay, that's the vibration I wanted to practice with the lottery ticket. I know I'm getting something. Right? If I could dial on that, I'd be cooking with gas. All right, I don't want to get sidetracked. What was I saying? Okay, that sometimes what we're shooting for, it just seems so big, so far out of reach, that our best move is to rein it in a little by choosing a smaller target. Not because we're not giving up on having the whole shebang. We're going to have that. We're conscious creators. That's how we roll. We're getting there one way or another. But I'm suggesting a smaller target just because sometimes the best way to get to the big one is to take it in bite-sized steps. So, for example, if I'm manifesting a big win in my career, maybe I want a big promotion or a raise. It's actually a hard example for me to get behind. I never experienced that. I always had the job I wanted most until I didn't want that job anymore. Let me try a different example. Okay, maybe I want to drop, I don't know, like 50 pounds for feeling like a rock star when I'm out and about in the world. Maybe I got a reunion coming up or a wedding or just to go back to dating. I don't know. So let's say I've been doing all the alignment stuff. Maybe it included like loving my body and saying the nicest, most appreciative things to her. And I've been honoring every signal she ever sent me about what she prefers as far as, sleep or eating or moving or drinking, whatever she wants. I've been giving it to her. So let's say I've been doing that and nothing is changing. What next? It could be that maybe 50 pounds is just too big a reach for me. Maybe I should just shoot for something smaller, something that I could still get excited about, but that doesn't feel so far away. My business partner practices this. Lisa Hayes, when she's working with a brand new coach who isn't getting any paying clients for their new gig, Lisa will challenge them. Instead of trying to attract a client for your $5,000 program, just go make $50. Just make $50, however you can, just to prove that you can. Just to see some sort of progress or movement. And she says, start with something easier and build from there. Her thinking is that someone who doesn't have a six-figure vibe isn't going to do six-figure business. And so when working on that vibe isn't working, she just asks them to start smaller. Make some money. Even if it's small, at least then you can know what it is to be getting paid. You can feel the success. You have some real-life pride to draw from. You wouldn't believe what that unlocks within her clients. I have seen some crazy magic happening there. Business owners transformed by setting smaller targets for themselves. And it might take some thought work for some of them to not see it as a failure to shoot for something so small, for it not to take a hit on their pride. Here they wanted to be this six-figure coach, and now they're just selling $50 laser sessions one at a time. But sometimes that's what unlocks the vibrational logjam. I've seen it work. Okay, so hypothetically, let's say someone's looking to lose 50 big pounds and they're not getting any traction. And then they hear my suggestion to get a smaller target in sight. Something that feels more doable. Something that feels like a Kohl's scratch off instead of a Powerball lottery ticket. So maybe for the weight loss example, instead of losing 50 pounds, maybe it could be your smaller target could be just to put together an outfit that you feel good in. From your undies to your jewelry to your makeup to your shoes, how cute your feet look with that new toenail color in those sandals. I don't know. Maybe it's just love your outfit. Or maybe it's like just to manifest one compliment. One compliment about you, whether it's you as a person or how you look, from a stranger or a loved one or even your own spontaneous self. You could surprise yourself with some really delightful input that just occurs as you're catching a glimpse of yourself in the mirror. Who knows? Or maybe it's to have one complete meal that is pure joy. The whole thing from start to finish, pure bliss. like from deciding to the drinks to the appetizer. I know why I'm smiling so much as I think this. It's reminding me of a new restaurant I just went to. Oh my gosh, this is a cool story. So I was out with a friend. We're both hungry. He said, "Where do you want to eat?" And I was having trouble thinking of something that sounded good, something I would love. So I said, "Well, I want Mexican, but I want something new, something that I haven't had before that's really good." And I was thinking I was asking for something that was going to be hard to come up with because we're in our normal area. But as soon as I said that, he snapped his fingers and he said, "I know just the place." And I was like, how does he know just the place? If he knows a good place, why haven't we been there before? So I was kind of skeptical, but I decided, you know what? Let what I want be possible instead of unlikely. Maybe I should cooperate a little here. I just decided to trust him, even though that isn't always my forte. I was like, just let it be okay, Jeanette. Let him lead. You don't have to be in charge of everything. Okay, so sure enough, he drove to a restaurant. It was like literally a minute and a half away that I'd never been to before. Ooh, and it was Friday night. And as soon as we were pulling up, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Friday night. The line. I hate standing in line for food. But guess what? Okay, so on the way in, first of all, I set a little intention. I practiced feeling what it feels like to be delightfully surprised with amazing food and loving all of it. Okay, I practiced that vibration. And then we walked through the door, and they said, there were only like 2 people in front of us, two different small groups. And they said 15 minutes, like, that's cool, fine. So and it was gorgeous outside. So we sat outside. They had chairs. No one else was out there. We had a delightful conversation for only about maybe 8 or 9 minutes because he said it probably won't take 15. Sure enough, we walk in. They were ready to seat us. So we sat down. And look, I'm a germaphobe. Go ahead and make fun if you want. I'm okay with it. But I learned recently that what's that stuff, that like liquid sanitizer stuff, it doesn't actually kill germs. That used to be my solution for how I could be out and about in the world and use my fingers for eating, but it doesn't work. So I sat next to him so I could read the menu that he had to touch, and I made him open all the doors for me. Yeah, I know, I got a system. So I'm reading over his shoulder, and that's already fun. We're sitting by each other instead of across from each other. I had a good reason for it, but it was already fun. And I'm reading. I'm looking for something that's good for a vegetarian, something besides just a bean and cheese burrito. And they had 2 things. Like one was a spinach enchilada, and the other was a green corn tamale. You don't see those at every restaurant. It was a green corn tamale. Okay, and they both sounded really good. And I was really glad I didn't have to just try to get excited about a bean and cheese enchilada. So, all right, here they were already giving me something fabulous to work with that could be amazing. So amazing was getting easier to believe in when I saw the menu. And the waitress came up, and I loved that girl instantly. She was so easy to enjoy. I really, really liked her. And so I got a drink. Usually I just am a water-only girl, but that night I felt like trying something special. And they had this thing that had a really pretty picture. It had all the colors in it because it had every fruit possible that you could put in a drink. It was in it. It was called, I don't know, Surprise Sunset or something like that. And the picture looked really good. And I said, I would like one of those. And she said we could customize it. But we got sidetracked, so I didn't get to tell her exactly. I didn't know anyway what I wanted in it. Oh, we got sidetracked because my friend, I was going to say he was super delighted, but he wasn't. He doesn't really get super delighted. I was super delighted for him when she said that she had a couple of hot sauces for him to try. I was going to say he's from Cuba, but you know what? He's not from Cuba. His parents are, but he's used to eating really hot stuff. So nothing's ever hot to him, and he likes it hot. So I was excited for him on his behalf that she might have some exciting salsas for him. That's how we got sidetracked. So anyway, she brings out a drink that I forgot to customize, but it was so good. In fact, it was so good, I drank it in like 3 sips. I love telling this story because I had so much fun at this meal. Okay, and then the salsa got there. And he wasn't that impressed because he said they weren't hot at all. And he must have been right because I really liked one of them in particular. And I have to usually be medium or mild. But it was so good. It was garlicky good. Oh, I even loved the thing I thought he was going to love. It was so good. So I'm already enjoying myself before I even placed my order because I wasn't sure what I was going to want. So I asked her opinion because they know. And she said she could bring me a plate with both. How's that for having your cake and eating it too? So then they arrive, and the spinach enchilada, I'm not going to lie, it was really, really good. By itself, it would have been a very solid success. But that green corn tamale, I don't even know what green corn is. Oh, so good. It was amazing. I loved it so much that when I told George he should take a bite, I said, but a small one. Take a small bite, because I really, really, really liked it. I knew I was going to like it more than he did, but he did like it too. So, in fact, he asked her if we could get him to go, if you could cook him at home. All right. So, anyway, the only thing that would have made that meal any more perfect would have been dessert, but we were both too full for it. So that was my idea of a blissful meal. And we know what blissful meals have to do with body health, right? Our bodies thrive on joy. So when you're getting joy in your food and in your drinks and in your movement, your body optimizes. It reflects the joy that you've been taking in. It's so beautiful how that works. If you do enough of that, you don't even care about 50 pounds because you're having such a good time in life. And that's when your body decides to do even better. So, all right, I'm talking way too long about this, but this was my first suggestion. Find a smaller target that's more fun to shoot for and maybe more believable, easier to wrap your arms around. But I have another suggestion for this situation when it seems like you're not making any progress on your big thing, and that is just go do something else altogether. Find something else to have fun with or some other way to get excited. Sometimes walking away, it's exactly what opens the door for universe to sneak it in when you weren't looking, because some of us, we have a hard time looking at that door without having a charge on it. So sometimes it's better just don't look at all. And that can actually put us in better alignment. Universe remembers what you want, so it actually works pretty well. This is Molly asking me for a potty break, so I better wrap this up. Before I do, though, oh my gosh, Annette made my day with this review on iTunes. Oh, listen to this. She writes, "Dear Jeanette, your podcast is rocking my world." I'm scratching Molly's head right now so she doesn't walk away and pee in the front room while I'm talking to you still. Don't go, Molly. Don't do it. All right, Annette says, "Your podcast is rocking my world. I am searching for the words to express how good your podcast is, especially lately. The one you released on Thursday about the chicken class, you already won the lottery, is transcendent," she called it. I wasn't sure about that one. Thank you for saying this, Annette, because I wasn't sure how that one would be received. She writes, "You have created something that is new in this world." How about that? It's like a portal to the vortex. Hello, compliment. I have listened to it probably 5 times in 2 days because it makes me feel so happy. I love you. I love your happy energy, your laugh. I love how much it cracked you up to play a joke on your friend. It did. You were bringing it, girl. Thank you so much for sharing that podcast with me. It is really helping me train myself to vibrate at a higher frequency. Music to my ears, girlfriend. Okay. And then she writes, "That one about the chicken class has become my new favorite song. I want to hear it again and again." Oh, every time I look at my podcast folder and see a new one from you, I do a little happy dance. There is one in there now. I saw it last night, and I'm basking in the anticipation of listening to it in my car later today. Annette, you were the inspiration for me to sit down and record today. Thank you for such a wonderful review and for giving me inspiration to create better podcasts. I'm doing these just for fun, as inspired. And when I read things like that, it makes me think I should maybe take this more seriously, learn how to do them right. But then I remember it's the fun that makes these work. If I worked too hard at it, they wouldn't be as good. So anyway, thanks for letting me know that doing them as inspired is working just fine. Thank you, Annette, and thank you everyone else for listening. I love you guys. Happy manifesting, everyone. I'm coming, Molly.